When there's something going on around the world, we're aware of it and we're ready to respond.
I remember the people there, the Pakistanis in particular.
The thing I remember most is being able to hook up with the Army.
The time we went with a satellite system up to Samara from Baghdad.
I remember working with the Russians the first
For me as a photographer, just to get to sit in the back seat of a fighter jet is pretty amazing to me.
Some of the places that these warriors went
They seem to be
to.
I have by far one of the most exciting jobs in the Air Force. Being in combat camera, you have the opportunity.
When first coming into the squadron, you don't know what you're going to get into. You know you're going somewhere, but you don't know if you're properly prepared to go there.
We got the training, best training in the Air Force.
They got this thing here called Insights. In this class, they show you how to be an effective combatant. And they show you how to shoot a gun properly, how to kick down a door. Everybody's screaming, people are shooting guns. It's not making the bang bang sound, but you can hear the people shooting the airsoft weapons. And I guess you kind of think in your head as to how real this could be. If I go on a raid, I'm not going to be like the weakest link. I'll be an effective combatant. And I'd say in that, the lesson's invaluable.
A lot of times when we deploy to austere environments, pretty far from civilized comforts. So what the ATSO is, the ability to survive and operate, it basically tested us and trained us on how we operate out in the field. When we actually get deployed, that is not the time to figure out when you need certain types of equipment. Being in an Air Force unit, we don't get a whole lot of Army-style training. And this was good for us because a lot of times in Iraq or Afghanistan, we actually go out with Army squads.
You are Army for 4 months. Tell you what, we never went to the same FOB twice. We were on the move, and while we were at a FOB is a forward operating base. And while we were there, every day we went on a mission. You're nervous, you're scared, you're tired, you're worn out. The heat would get to you. There was times you'd work 12, 14-hour days and maybe eat once. On a raid, they would clear the house, move everybody outside, and they would sweep the entire house, going through looking for weapons, excessive cash, excessive munitions, anything, looking for anything. It's almost like filming like when you're in Cops, the TV show, because you just go, 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 go. Go through the front door and just stick with somebody and follow what they do.
No magazine? No. Okay. Come on, Tall.
Go.
It's okay.
It was a pretty scary time.
This is 160 coming in, broken.
You never know where you're going to be and what's going to happen. There I was, partnered up with the Army, something completely new to me, to be that involved with a different branch of the service in that intense of an experience. You go into it scared to death the first time, and it is just an incredibly frightening experience for days preparing for it. And then when it's over with, you kind of look back at retrospect and think to yourself, that was it?
Doing my job, I was in my element, I was comfortable. And there was times you're wondering, is today the day?
Cobra Gold was pretty much one of the highlights of my career here in combat camera. This is a joint exercise where Thai forces and U.S. forces, maybe the Army and the Marines, train out in the field. There was amphibious exercises, and there were also field range exercises where they shoot weapons. And I think this year there was a bunch of navies. They were also doing some diving.
Because we had U.S. doctors from the Navy and from the Army, and they would go from village to village helping out free of charge. They would go and do free dental work, free medical, free eye exams, free glasses, free everything for the Thai people.
I think the highlight of it all was the Cobra, of course. They trained the U.S. forces how to manipulate a Cobra without getting bit, and how to use the Cobra for food. They would cut the snake into two portions, the top and the bottom. They would use gravity to drain the blood out into this container, and they would mix it with basically Thai liquor, and they would drink it. And some say that this blood would cause a lot of hallucinogenic kind of situations, but it didn't work. So.
What we did down there was build clinics and schools for the civilian community down there.
See, our CE guys, the reservists, they didn't know everything about, you know, how to put on stucco and things like that. It was all training. The El Salvadoran Army, they know more about building up these clinics and schools.
After I got what I needed as far as documentation, doing the interviews, getting the B-roll for it, I got to set down my camera and actually do some manual labor. I got to sling stucco, just do anything that those construction guys needed help with. We had opportunities to mingle with the kids that we were building the school for and the people that we were building the clinics for. They were very thankful that we were there. That did a lot for the construction guys that were out there sweating and working so hard. It really helped them to keep working.
Century Eagle is a biennial exercise. It's from Klamath Falls, Oregon. The National Guard out there holds it, and they bring the Navy in, the Marines, the Canadian Air Force was there, I believe, and they basically just test the air-to-air capability between each service and each country. They basically have a few different scenarios. Some will be defending a certain area of ground. Some will be defending aircraft flying in certain airspace. It's basically anything that involves fighter aircraft doing air operations. I did a 3-hour flight. The majority of it was dogfighting, and the thing that those pilots go through, I mean, it's strenuous work. We pulled 7.8 Gs, my pilot said, about 20 times, at a minimum of 20 times. It was tough. It was hard for me just to maintain staying awake, basically.
JFEX 2005 was the very first JFEX. They did a really good job of putting together an exercise that brought everything together that would be needed to seize an airfield and operate out of that airfield. We got a chance to shoot some phenomenal footage. And if there is one thing that sticks out in my mind, it's the efforts of our people there to acquire all of that footage. It was a real pleasure to edit that show because there was so much good footage.
Well, we had a chance to go off to West Africa and spend 35 days hanging out with the Navy. We got aboard the a vessel called the Gunston Hall, a very big transport boat. We lived Navy style. We had a chance to go out with the Marines and spend a couple of days out in the field in Africa and even document their, like a Normandy beach landing type of exercise with them and their neighboring countries of Ghana and Senegal. I think the exercise went along pretty well. As an experience, it was something I'm really happy to have done. There's a great thing to do, it was a great thing to experience, and it was great to go home at the end and have said I've done it.
"17 C-17s in one formation." I guess what the wing was trying to do was break a record. We all took off, we all gathered together, then we did a low level through the mountains of North Carolina back to South Carolina. We did aerial refueling. I don't even know how many KC-135s it took. We flew all day.
Yeah. Okay, straight, you're fine.
They did break the record. The last record was 16. The C-17 formation was awesome because I got to shoot the low level with the back ramp open. That is the way to take pictures. To just lay on your belly, have the wind blowing around you, and you've got 16 other C-17s behind you, and you're going through the mountains and you're seeing the snow, and then you do the airdrop. That's the way to take pictures.
Combined Endeavor is a communications exercise between a variety of countries. There is 43 countries there, and they're all setting up computer systems, cell phone systems to try to communicate in case like an event of a natural disaster. They can all go to a foreign country and communicate with each other, be able to set up really quick and establish some type of a basing system. I enjoyed working at Combined Endeavor because of all those countries being so close in one location. They were all so friendly and they were welcoming. They seemed to be kind of nervous about having the camera on them, but it turned out to be a pretty good shoot. To be able to put aside your political differences for a combined effort it's really cool.
Korea as a place is just beautiful. And get a chance to go out there and to see it was awesome. We go to RSOI. In a nutshell, the concept is if North Korea was to attack South Korea, America would help. And so they do this exercise to go through the steps of moving large quantities of reinforcements into South Korea in a quick and efficient manner to help save South Korea from a North Korean invasion. They have to do a lot of logistics, and that's done on paper, but there's also actual troop movements that need to be practiced, and whenever possible, combat camera got to the troop movements to document that event. The combat camera team spread out across Korea to get to these individual events that were happening. All in all, the exercise itself was, a great opportunity to see the country of Korea.
JSTARS was a request from Public Affairs over at Robins Air Force Base. JSTARS is a Joint Surveillance Target Attack Radar System. It's one of the surveillance planes, just like Rivet Joint, just like Predators and stuff, except it's a big airframe. It's a very unique system. They had not had any aerial still photos or video from anything recent. I went up with a video camera and I went up with a still camera. They really loved it.
COPE India was a cooperative exercise where India hosted the United States. India is looking to buy some F-16s, so they wanted to see what the F-16s are like. They're one of our allies, so the 13th Fighter Squadron out of Misawa Air Base, Japan, came over to Kalakunda Air Station in Western India, and we had a little exercise together. It was pretty neat to see American-made F-16s flying right in formation with Russian-made Su-30s and other MiGs. COPE India gave me a chance to really show off my training. I was the only flying combat cameraman there. I felt empowered to go by myself to a foreign country and kind of capture what the exercise was all about.
Rescue Medcure. That was a mass casualty exercise, and they incorporated all the training from the Georgian Army to the medical people in one big scenario. They brought in some theater students from the college. Was so into it. I thought he actually was choking, dehydrated, or ready to pass out. I said, I was gonna get this kid a glass of water or some bottle of water. Through a translator, he says, "I'm just acting." I was like, oh, God.
Florida 1, we need you to go to this airport and help facilitate the transportation of these patients.
And we got facial injuries. This one is going to go for immediate facial. Looks like
Combat Lifesaver is an exercise in which federal agencies like FEMA and different state agencies simulate a mass casualty accident and use military assets to move the casualties of that accident. We had an opportunity to go down during Katrina and actually see these exact same people doing exactly what they had practiced during Lifesaver. It was a chance to see it rehearsed before it actually happened.
Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. It devastated this city. It broke the levees and it filled the city with water. It just turned the city into a standing lake with houses sticking out. There was one guy that was down there refusing to leave his home because he said he had 50 years worth of stuff in that home.
Is your stuff really worth that? Is it worth life and death? If y'all don't get out of here today or tomorrow, you're gonna die out here.
It was unreal. It was just unreal.
One flight that we were on stands out in my mind because it produced one of my favorite images, but at the same time it was an image that I really didn't want to take. I was part of a small contingency response team that deployed to Pakistan after the earthquake in that area. Our main focus was documentation of the humanitarian relief efforts. I remember in particular a little girl, probably 10 years old, that looked like she may have been orphaned. There was no adults with her, and she had a broken leg and some other injuries. She just clung on to the U.S. Army ground person that was helping out with the relief efforts. I got some quite moving photos from that, which I'm proud of, but at the same time, the situation that came about to get that photo was a bad situation.
And unfortunately, the Americans can't see everything that we see, but what they can see is our responsibility. I have to let our American people know what's going on.
There was a tsunami that said Thailand and India, Malaysia. There were total villages just decimated, wiped out. We got reports back. They were saying that approximately out of a 2,000 person village, maybe 20 or 30 people survived. I remember there was children that lost their parents, and there was parents that lost their children. And what they did was they said, you lost your children, you lost your parents, and they put them together and said, you're a new family. We gave them food and water and helped them out as best they can. I got some very graphic footage, and it was amazing and shocking to see, what nature can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
The rodeo was a competition for mostly U.S. but some international teams to test their ability to complete the mission of moving equipment around. A lot of people wanted to put it together. Of course, combat camera had a huge part.
Pretty much almost the entire combat camera squadron deployed. We documented 25 U.S. bases and 15 international teams to showcase Air Mobility Command's prowess.
Surprised it went as smoothly as it did. Figured there'd be a lot more difficulties with all that people logistics of getting 70 plus people out there.
Having the whole squadron there working together like that had a real synergistic effect. It was really impressive, and I think it brought out everyone's A game. We were out there documenting 23 of these events, and in the end, we put together videos that showcased the best of each of the events. When it was time for the final ceremony, we had everyone there with bated breath, just waiting to see each one of those best of clips start peeling off the line.
It was really well done. It was very professional. I was surprised to see it was that big an event.
The end production was phenomenal. It just blew me away. To see how much money and ordeal they put in that thing, it was just like, you would think it's a Grammy Awards or something like that. It was actually cool.
By the time it was done, it was just a standing ovation. Huge success, seen around the world. Great, great showcase of what combat camera at its whole entirety is capable of.
I can't think of a better place to be stationed.
To be a part of combat camera is truly an amazing experience.
It changes the way you live. You can go from one point to across the states, or you could find yourself in the middle of nowhere with a camera and a satellite dish.
It's neat to be able to see a lot of the things that most people wait a lifetime to see, and most people wait a lifetime and never get to see it. And this squadron provides that.
It's a very unique squadron. It has an amazing mission, and it is filled with the most talented people in the military.
No matter where you are or what is happening, we can get the story for you.